I am California of the past.
I am California of the past. I am California of the past.
Well, my name is Alice Hikido. My family was living in Juneau, Alaska. Juneau was a capital of Alaska. It was a territory at the time, but it was still, even though it was a capital, it was still a small community of about less than 5,000 people. And in our town were two Japanese families, my family and another family. My father had a little cafe, the other family had a laundry. And then there were a handful of Japanese bachelor men that worked as in labor jobs here and there, and my father had a few of them working for him in his cafe. And when Pearl Harbor happened, it happened on a Sunday, and it was a trauma for everybody. It was a trauma for us, it was a trauma for everybody in the town too. As you can imagine, it was like 9/11. My father and the father of the other family and the handful of men were all arrested by the FBI. The FBI came to our house and searched our house. This was a day or two after Pearl Harbor. Searched our house, and I don't know what they were looking for, but, and we were just in the house fearful. We didn't know fear was really a present thing for all of us. I was only 9 at the time. I can't remember if they had found some things that they took away with them or not, but at the end of the search, they told my father that he needed to come with him. And so my father went with them, and the next time we saw him, he was in the federal jail. Since Juneau was the capital, it had a federal jail. And our feeling about the federal jail, I mean, if you were in the federal jail, you were a big-time bad guy, you know. And then the final destination was Santa Fe, New Mexico, where he was interned. It was a Justice Department camp, and he was interned there. Since it was April and graduation wasn't going to be until May, the high school, the principal did a very kind thing. He had a special graduation for my brother, a student-body graduation, so that where he was given his diploma. And that was a nice thing for him to be done, I think, you know. We saw this Army transport ship come in, which was an unusual thing. And so we kind of thought, oh, I wonder if that's the ship that's going to come in and take us out. And sure enough, we got about, I don't know, maybe 12 hours notice. Anyway, we were told they had to be ready and that we would have to board this ship. So I remember it was dark in the night, and we boarded the ship. And on the ship were already some families that were evacuated from, say, Anchorage. There were some Japanese families up north of us. And along the way from Juneau, as it made its way to Washington, there were little towns like Wrangell, Petersburg, Ketchikan. There were other families, you know, a handful of families in all these little towns. I think maybe a total of Alaskan families, there were about 20 families. So, but one comforting thing about it was we found other people that were in the same boat, so to speak, that, you know, we could commiserate with. And so we went from there to Camp Harmony. It was the Puyallup Fairgrounds, and they called it Camp Harmony, that was set up. Real makeshift barracks were set up for us, and we stayed there until it seemed like it was August. It was a very hot month, and then we were shipped out by train to Minidoka. When we were in Minidoka, my mother, who had always kind of relied on my father was quite a bit older than my mother, and he was always the anchor of our family. And I think it left her in a real state of anxiety. And one of the memories I have was when we got to Minidoka, and we would have breakfast in the mess hall every morning, and we would be served, things like toast. She would collect the toast. She wouldn't eat all her toast, and she would bring her toast back to the room, and she would dry it out even more. And then she would collect it in little boxes and put it under our cots. And she had quite a few of these boxes, and all of us were really quite alarmed and started to worry that maybe Mama was losing it. And it wasn't really a very, what would you say, to us it didn't seem like a sensible thing to do. But I guess to her, I think we realized too that she was worried that we weren't going to get food. And so that kind of showed the state of her mind. And so anyway, it was to our relief when one day she kind of realized that this was a very futile thing to do, and she gave up those boxes. The camps took all of the people, all the Japanese people. So you had lawyers, you had doctors, you had teachers, you had all these people that were in the Japanese community, and the young lawyers would help people like our family to form up letters to send to the Justice Department. My father was paroled from Santa Fe to Minidoka. So that happened in 1944. And when the war ended, there was the decision, what do we do now? And my father made the decision that he wanted to go back to Alaska and pick up our lives again. And so my father, my mother, myself, and my little sister then went back to Juneau. And this was in October of 1945. There were several friends, family friends, that really extended their hospitality to us because we couldn't get back into our house right away. And so we stayed with this one family for a short period. And then when my father started up his cafe again, he had to borrow from the bank. And another family friend was a grocery man that used to supply my father. And he told my father that he would not have to pay his bills until he had a cash flow that would allow him to do that. My father was always very thankful about that, and I think that made him really realize too that Alaska was really his home.